Franklin County Board of County Commissioners now in session for this regular meeting Tuesday, February 15th. We're going to begin with the prayer and the pledge. And Commissioner Ward, would you please lead us in prayer today?
We'll come to you today as we conduct our county business. We pray that you will guide our decision and our decision making to benefit our constituents that we represent. Also pray for everybody in the community that just needs a good prayer. Lord, we pray that you will guide them and lead them in their ways. And I pray in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, up next on our agenda would be approval of minutes from the last meeting and from the workshop. And Mr. Morone, can we approve these both together?
Yes, sir. If you
Okay.
like, the clerk has no objections, yes.
Okay.
So move.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion, Commissioners? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That is unanimous vote. Up next will be payment of the county's bills.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Parrish to approve,
Second.
second by Commissioner Lockley. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's also a unanimous vote. That takes us to our Special Project Coordinator, Mr. Alan Pierce.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Morning.
So last week, and I forget what day it was, the chairman and I had a teleconference with the Corps of Engineers. They initiated this teleconference to provide us an update on a couple of things. The one thing they didn't update us on specifically was any schedule. So we're still a little bit uncertain about when they're going to start. But what they did inform us was that whenever they start, it's going to take another $1 million. So the estimated increase in costs wasn't itemized, but what they offered to do was to not dredge the north-south arm of the 2-mile channel. They said, well, knock that off. We don't need another $1 million. And Chairman and I recognize the value of that thing. I talked to Commissioner Parrish beforehand, and the north-south arm of the 2-mile channel is one of the main accesses to get out there, and it helps you avoid the big bar that's in the bay. And so we told the Corps, no, we need to do the whole thing, and we'll find the money. And so I want to tell you all that. I did talk to the consortium, to Dan Duarte, and he thought the consortium could fund and would fund the additional $1 million. The problem is we have $5 million as an award. This additional $1 million will take a project modification or a contract modification. He wasn't sure how long that would take. So I already talked to Ms. Griffith about this. It's possible we would have to do some short-term financing. We just don't know yet. There's some uncertainties as to, well, not uncertain, unknowns about when they need the money and exactly would it be $1 million or something less. So, but I want to inform you that they've now raised the price and offering to discount or to cut off part of the project, and we said no. So unless there's a difference in the board opinion, we're moving forward now with a $6 million dredging project because we want the full extent of the 2-mile channel dredged as well as the full extent of the East Point channel dredged. Again, the $1 million is, the county ultimately will receive $11 million, $11.2 million out of consortium funds. So over 15 years, we will get $11 million. Now, we can't be awarded any more money that's already been earned, so to speak, by the consortium. Because BP pays $700,000 a year, I think it is, every year for 15 years. So the money's coming in, and the consortium didn't think they'd have it. So that's why I say I'm not too worried about getting it eventually out of the consortium, but just how long it'll take to get an amendment, I don't know. It took us 2 years to get the initial award done, but we're going to work on this as fast as we can. Two things that have come out, all the other things that came out of the meeting was I asked the consortium, I asked the Corps to develop a draft invoice letter for me for the initial $5 million, and I want to send that to the consortium to make sure that all the data they want is in that invoice letter, so that when we finally need the money, they will already, then they have 7 days to send it to me. So I'm looking to get that draft invoice letter from the Corps this week and show it to the consortium so that there's no glitches on the $5 million. And then the second document the Corps is creating is its justification for the $1 million increase. Certainly when I get it, it's going to be public record. I'll show it to you all, and I'll also send it to the consortium, because that'll be the basis then for asking for an amendment to our $5 million award and get another $1 million in there. So that's what I've been working on this last 2 weeks, and you know, I wish I had better news for you. I mean, the only good thing I can take out of this additional cost is that clearly the Corps is working on the project, otherwise it wouldn't come up with a need for more money. So they're making progress. Their dredging machine is out there now, dredging the intercoastal. I feel like they will stay in the area to do our projects. So I think we're in the motion now. You know, the players are on the field. We just don't know quite who's going to come to bat. You know.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
are you ready for the board to consider an action to officially approve the increase from 5 to 6, or do you want to wait?
Well, we can wait till we get the letter from the Corps.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you can do it now, but I'd rather give you a document with a letter from the Corps saying we need another $1 million.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No problem.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Alan, when you're saying north and south, you're talking about between the rocks and the
Yes.
2 Mile Channel
Yes.
that goes out into the
Yes.
bay.
Yes.
Just to clarify that for everybody, but
Yes.
that's one of the most important parts of dredging,
Yeah.
the Apalachicola Channel there, 2 Mile Channel we're calling it. Is to give the guide fishermen and others access to the bay through 2 Mile Channel. Because without that, you got to run almost to the cut before you can actually cut across the bay and be in deep water. And right now, they can't hardly get out of there, just outside the rocks, because the knoll is there and it's prohibiting a lot of people from being able to access Apalachicola Bay through that channel. So I'm glad y'all stood up and said we didn't want to do away with that part of the project, because that's one of the most important features of the project.
Yes, it
So
is.
I commend y'all for doing that, and just wanted to clarify that for the public.
And the cost, the reason the 2 Mile Channel is costing so much money is that everything from, and it's 2 miles for a reason, the name of the channel, because that's basically how long it is, from the mouth of the river all the way over to where our boat ramp is at Lombardi's. And all of that material is being pumped up into one spoil site near Lombardi's. So there's a lot of piping, and the Corps just said the cost of piping and maneuvering piping around has driven the price up. So they are putting it on the cost of piping, but let's see what their letter says.
Well, and to go with what you were saying, Commissioner Parrish, even if the channel were dredged, if people can't get in and out of the channel, you wasted time doing that. So that's why we were definitely supportive of making sure that's still included.
Mr. Chairman, I know some of our Triumph funds are earmarked, but could this potentially be some of the money from our Triumph funding can go towards that $1 million?
The problem with Triumph is that you have to create jobs. And we've argued, well, there's a couple problems with Triumph. But one is the job creation. 2 is Triumph doesn't see, even though the charter boat industry here in Franklin County, if you're a captain, I'm going to say this without real facts to back it up, but if you're a captain of the charter boat industry, you're probably one of the higher paid people in the service industry. I mean, you're making more money as a captain of a guide boat with 6 people on your boat than many other people in the service industry here in Franklin County. So we consider that, and I've made this pitch to the Triumph board, that's our high end. You know, if you want us to create high end jobs, then create more access for charter boat people, because they're the ones who are making the most money in our current economy. Well, they still see charter boat captains as service industry. And the service industry is not what they want to promote. They want to promote something else. Well, something else doesn't exist in Franklin County right now. And we keep telling them, look, we understand that Pensacola has already gone beyond charter boat, that Pensacola is looking at high tech, and that's where really big money is. Well, you have to, it's a transition. It's an evolution of your economy. And we have moved from, good or bad, we moved from natural resource collection, which is what oystering is, into now this service industry, and ultimately we'll move into something that maybe isn't as more production. But you know, you got to get there gradually, and the Triumph people just want to leap over that fact and go right to, you know, some sort of tech industry. I mean, the airport, of course, they love the airport, but we keep saying, look, guys, how do we get a manufacturer at the airport? You know, we don't have the rail system, we don't have a good highway system. Anything that's made here has to be brought in and then shipped out, so you're doubling your transportation costs to manufacture something here. So yeah, we want it also, but it's just hard to put all these parts together. Anyway, so that's why we still have a lot of Triumph money, and until the Triumph board eases up on their expectations for what a rural county can produce, we're going to be in this dilemma for a long time.
Mr. Chairman, real quick, Alan, we also talked to them about sustaining the jobs we have.
Yeah.
Which is what we're trying to do with this channel, is sustain those jobs, and that's not
They're not interested
We're
in
not
that,
giving
no.
them credit for sustaining what we have. They want to create new jobs. So that's,
Yeah. Yeah, but, and not to beat us too much, so we do have three funding sources that we could look at. One is the restore money that is for projects like we're doing the dune restoration in St. George Island and other parts of the county, stormwater management on St. George Island. That's money that we control completely, the county commission does, I should say, and you have a lot of opportunities to spend that money. It has to be approved by Treasury. Then you have the consortium, which has a state expenditure plan, and our dredging projects are in the state expenditure plan. Nothing else is in there. So when we get done with the dredging and you want to do something else with consortium money, we have to ask for an amendment in the plan, which is not a problem. I mean, we have this $11 million that's available to the county over a 15-year period. So the state knows that we will make another project request. You know, it's not listed. Well, we do have a holding place. We listed Apalachicola Bay Initiative, just similar, not similar, but it would be some sort of Oyster project. If it shows a future that there's something that we can improve, we've got $5 million set aside for that. But that's a set aside, a reservation. It's not a dedication. And then you have the Triumph Board, and until the Triumph Board, and there we have millions of dollars. I forget the amount of money, at least $15 million. It could be more than that, as long as the legislature doesn't change the legislation. Right now, the Triumph Board is required to spend 3% of the allocation of the funds in each county. So we have a dedication of funds, but the hurdle the Triumph Board puts that you have to create jobs, and they have to be good, well-paying jobs, they have to be higher than the minimum jobs in the community. We just can't, not only we can't meet it, Apalachicola Carabel can't meet it either. The school board's gotten Triumph funds because they are training people for higher paying jobs. Well, the school board, you know, you can only train so many kids because you only have so many kids in the system. So they may be sort of maxed out at what they can get out of the Triumph Board because there's just so many training opportunities. And then the sad part about it is a lot of the things they're training for, jobs don't exist in Franklin County. So we're not helping our community grow and prosper by creating higher paying jobs in the community. I mean, some of the training will stay here, but you know, anyway, it's a dilemma. One of the things that Triumph, and I'm way off the topic, I apologize, the Triumph Board continues to talk to me about, and I mentioned to you all, is look, we understand that the charter boat industry is what it's at, and people come to Franklin County to use their boats. You know, you all need to develop a maritime repair, and you know, a maritime engine repair, or you know, boat repair, and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's great, and I think the training in that area would probably create some local jobs. But Franklin County is not set up to do a training program. You know, somebody. And Triumph is open to a third party to come in here and run a maritime, you know, small engine repair training program. But somebody's got to want to come in here and set it up and run it, you know. And so we're looking to try and find that kind of thing. But we, the county, are not set up to run those kind of training programs.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
well, it's just one thought. We small, and the big county's gonna get them big projects. So what we have to do is come in the back door and get out the box. They got all us in the box. We got to get out the box.
Yes, sir. That's right.
And the parts they don't want, we can ask them to send them over here. Like, that's about the only thing.
Yeah.
That'll help us. But if they got a project and they got some little jobs that they need done, ask them to send them in.
Well, Commissioner, I wish they were so kind, but I haven't met a Triumph Board member yet who thinks that they don't need more jobs in their districts. I mean, Gulf County is getting a little bit of benefit of that because they're doing that. You know, the Staten Island Ferry is doing some repair work and building in Gulf County, and so that's a spillover project in Bay County, but that's just a spillover. The real project's still in Bay County, and you know, if that really takes off, it may have benefit over here. We may see some welders being hired and such like that. You know, so there's an evolution going on. But yeah, Commissioner, I appreciate your kind thoughts towards those other entities, but they have yet to say, oh well, we don't need these jobs. They don't seem to want to give us anything but grief.
Oh, yeah.
I
Mr. Chairman,
appreciate it.
Yes.
not to micromanage, but that arbitrary, we need one more $1 million from the Corps of Engineers. Is that reasonable? You know, I realize the relocation of all their dredging equipment and so on increases cost, but I didn't want an arbitrary headwind against our county here for $1 million when is it valuable there?
Oh, it's valuable. It's critical, as Commissioner Parrish said, it's critical to the function of the 2 Mile Channel to
Yes,
have that,
indeed.
that other arm built. Now, could we do it for $750,000 or who knows? I mean,
I see.
you know, we'll see what the court justification is, but Commissioner, I have nothing compared to. There are no other large-scale dredging projects in the county. The only ones that are done are by the Corps. So even if we go back in history, the only people doing this kind of dredging is the Corps of Engineers.
Okay.
And Alan, to touch on what you were talking about with marine stuff, and it was different. I know it was a different economy, but I remember going to school at Carroll High School. We had a marine mechanics class.
You did?
Kids had a chance to actually learn how to work on outboard engines and stuff. You know, so I'm not saying it's the school's responsibility, but I'm saying it has been done by the school district before. So, you know, might be a good place to start.
Yeah.
If you know they're getting trained at school, then you know you can hire somebody to help you in an industry like that. All right, any other questions or concerns for Mr. Pierce? I think he's answered all of our questions today, correct?
Whether you ask them or not.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, you know, have to take it how it comes sometimes, sir. Thank you, Alan. Mr. Morone, we didn't have any emails or anybody turn anything for public comments
No,
today?
sir, no one in the audience turned one in, and I have none requested online either.
Can you double check and make sure we're at this point you're already checking?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. All right, so up next is Clerk of Courts, Ms. Michelle Maxwell.
Good morning, I don't have anything to report.
Okay. Thank you, Clerk Maxwell. Mr. Howard Neighbors, Superintendent of Roads and Bridges, you're next, sir.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Hope all y'all doing well. I have no action items this morning, but we have been fixing shoulders for the past week. We started on St. George Island, and we're gonna be going through the county, fixing all shoulders and intersections, and hope we can get it finished up. We're gonna start on sidewalks,
Okay.
bike paths, cleaning them, trying to hedge them. And
Yep. That sounds good. There's a lot to do with that, that's for sure.
yes, sir.
Mr. Morone, is that all you have, Howard? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off.
Yes, sir. That's it. Mister.
Do we need to go over the stuff that's on your report while Howard's here?
And I'm sorry, I'm at a loss to see exactly which item you are referring to, Commissioner. Yeah, I am. There was a specific item you're referring to,
I
sir?
thought there was. Hold on.
Got code
Yeah,
enforcement up?
B. Striping project.
Okay.
Does that not have anything to do with Howard?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's
cool.
not all,
fine.
yeah.
Okay. Well, it was just about roads. I just didn't want to.
Oh, no problem, yeah, that's more about a project that the city of Apalachia is taking on, and they want
Okay.
our, some assistance.
Sounds good.
Not from your road department though, sir.
Okay.
Clear.
All right, sounds good. Well, anyone have any questions or concerns for Mr. Neighbors while he's here? Commissioners? Howard, thank you for everything y'all do and your responsiveness with you and your crew. It's been
Thank y'all, Commissioner. I do got one more thing that.
Oh, what is it?
I got up with Ted, on the equipment at the airport.
Mhm.
I know a month or so ago, y'all wanted all that stuff worked on, greased, and we're gonna also start on it this morning. We're just gonna bring the equipment into the shop and service the equipment.
Okay. Well, good. That sounds great.
You got something, Aaron?
That's great.
Yes, ma'am.
And Howard, we really appreciate you all agreeing to host the county auction on Saturday. Yeah, I know that was a lot of work for your department, and, you know, we do appreciate it. We're trying to get rid of everything, and, yeah, that's a big deal for you guys to run that thing.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, they've been pretty busy moving that stuff around, trying to get everything motivated for it, so.
Wow. It's a list of stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's all beautiful stuff.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, we're already in trouble, I can tell.
We're trying to get the last dollar out of it, Commissioner.
I think we're past that point, but thank you.
Say, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
do we
sir.
know how much money we netted out of that deal?
Oh, no, it's going to be this Saturday. They haven't done it
Oh,
yet.
this coming Saturday, okay.
Yeah, they haven't done it yet. All right, well, Howard, thank you. Appreciate you and your crew.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all, Commissioner.
Yes, sir. Mr. Fonda Davis, Solid Waste Director.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Just a couple of things, no action item. Just let you know that the bike path at D.W. Wilson, the repairs have been made. They had some complaints on that about a couple of months ago, but they have been repaired. And also on St. George Island, the playground equipment is being removed. All right, that's all I have for you this morning.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
out there on D.W. Wilson, I've been getting some folks fishing to tell them they have a problem with a step up as they come up and get out the boats. Is there any way we can do anything with that?
D.W.? Where's it at?
I mean, I hear the,
Pine Log,
Pine Log?
no,
Lombardi,
Lombardi.
Oh.
Yeah.
Buddy War, okay.
Yeah, when they tie their boat up, they have them for tying up and stepping off. The older fellas said they got a problem. They're getting old and can't do it.
Okay.
I mean, you have to talk to them.
Do we have a dock at Lombardi's? I thought that was a pier.
That's what I'm saying. They ain't got nothing to get up. It's high. It's too high for them.
Yeah. no.
There's one place there on the right-hand side when you back your boat in, on the right, not towards the bay, but north, going up the little creek there that you can tie up there and step off. There's not a whole lot of room there to create a dock for them to launch their boat and tie their boat to, because then you prevent anybody else from launching. It's so small, and my concern has always been that someone would tie a boat up there and leave it. Then you still ain't got nowhere to get off. Now you got a boat sitting there sinking in the way, and then it's gonna make it even worse to try to launch a boat. The pier you're talking about is so high, again, that was to prevent people from tying boats up there and leaving them.
Yep.
And then you still can't get to that pier. So that pier is not what we call an observation pier, where you can go out there and look at the sunset and all this type of stuff. It's not made to tie vessels up. But I have had some of the same complaints, but I just, you know, there's one dock there where they were supposed to be able to pull up and offload their seafood products and back a truck up there and get them without having to take them off the boat. Being the bay's closed, that dock is very seldom used, so you could pull over there, tie your boat up, go move your truck and your trailer and come back. That creek is filled in from the last time that we dredged out there. All that stuff come back, and that's the reason we're using a smaller dredge now, not only in the East Point Channel but the Apalachicola Channel, to keep from generating all that water flow as they're doing the dredging. So, you know, hopefully that'll work out. But we can look at it, but
That's the area for the canoe launch also, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah.
But you know, Commissioner Perry, the only thing I know is like where the long one at, put a step down on it. And if they leave their boat, we just don't have to charge them for leaving their boat. If they don't want, they complaining to you, they complain to me. But if we get it right and then they don't do right, then we're gonna have to kind of help them do right. I mean, but I can understand, because when I was young, I could jump up. But now, I got to jump down.
right.
That's weird. And I got one more thing on Mr. Chairman. Oh, Saturday having a Outcome Festival up there on the hill, and I wanted to see about using one of them go-karts in that parade. Y'all got some up there?
What is it?
I want to see about using one of them go-karts in the parade.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah,
And I
we'll take
want
care of that.
Put that in a motion so I get permission from the board.
Okay.
And all the commission, y'all welcome to come up this weekend.
Commissioner, we don't need a motion for that, because that's the same thing I did. Remember, a couple of meetings ago, I talked about the one over in Caravelle, the Cam Gordon Johnson. We just get the golf carts. You don't need a motion. You're good.
Okay.
I just want to make sure we have enough. That's what I think that's what you're after, to make sure everybody's going to participate. There's enough golf carts to do it out. Whatever Fonda doesn't have, if we need more, I usually get them from Pam.
Yeah.
When is the
I'm just
parade?
gonna use the
When
parade.
is the parade, Commissioner?
Saturday morning, what time?
Usually 10.
11.
It's 11,
Yeah.
not 10?
Okay.
Okay.
Starting at high school.
Okay.
The old.
Household.
High school,
Yeah.
that's where it started, yes, sir.
They renamed it now to
Yeah.
Van Johnson Complex.
Right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
But we gonna cover that up there.
you know, Commissioner Lockley, I remember a couple years ago when we were standing on the patio there at Buddy Ward Marina Park. And you looked out there on that bay to the new boat ramp, and you said, you know what, it's missing something. It's missing a hitching post for the boat. And you had told me how your boat had floated away and how you had to rescue it. But, you know, I recalled that, and I'm just wondering, shouldn't we be thinking about some designated hitching post at every boat ramp in our county, relative to what you've just said?
You need them bad, 'cause they will get away,
Yeah.
and you'd be in bad shape if anybody around.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'll ask the board to look at that cautiously, because you put a hitching post, then next thing you do, you're trying to get boats from blocking the ramp for where no one else can use it. So then you have that's the kind of,
But that,
what's the word I'm looking for, that will cause another issue for us to have to deal with. I mean, I hear what you're
Yeah.
saying, but we just have to be careful where we put it and how many, and, you know, is it a permanent thing, or do we make it available for someone that wants to use it, or, you know?
Yeah.
you just got to put them to the side, and then if they, that's what I would
Yeah.
tell the Commissioner Paris, is you put them off to the side, and if we make it convenient for them, they got to make it convenient for us by moving them when they load. I mean, you know, they can't stay there. Put a sign up saying, they can move when it's not for them to go to lunch or dinner, overnight.
Yeah.
It's just to make, you know, for their convenience at the moment.
Yeah, to assist them, yes, sir.
Yeah, we trying to assist them, and if they don't, if they can't help them, we just got to do what we got to do to make them with. Give them a ticket or something.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I've got
Yes.
something real quick. Just to kind of recap you, Mr. Davis, I haven't spoke to you. I did receive Charlie Kate's sign. I have it. I'm getting, instead of putting it on the fence, if it's okay with you, I'm actually, a local builder has donated his time and supplies to build a frame, a nice wooden frame for it, to be able to put in the ground on the inside of the fence. So just as soon as he's done with all that, we're gonna go out there and put it in the ground and have like a little dedication, if that's okay with you.
Yes, ma'am, great, thank you.
I'll keep everybody posted when that's gonna be.
Okay.
Please
Thank
do,
you.
Commissioner, that'd be great. Anyone else have any concerns for Mr. Davis while he's here? Fonda, thank you for the work you and your crew do. We
Okay.
appreciate you.
All right, I don't know, Commissioner, I thought you might want to bring it up about the concrete down on, have you,
About
at Alligator Point?
at Alligator Point?
Yes, sir.
relative to
The concrete that's over in, that they asking us to remove? You want to just?
Oh, yes. Mr. Davis and I had a conversation yesterday relative to two, I'll use the word derelict homes that are on the western side of Gulf Shore Boulevard. And they have been washed out since historical storms. And just the skeletons of those homes are left. And there's a great deal of debris on the beach, broken concrete, former driveways, and it's relative to two residences right there in the 1000 block range there on Gulf Shore Boulevard. And the conversation is, do we have a way of clearing all that off that beach? Can we do that? We have an example of how that was done, but it was a state level. That old Point Lounge, even further west, was cleared away of its debris by the local park officers about a year or so ago. And so this question came up because there's a neighbor that's overlooking all that debris right now that brought it up yesterday for us. And should we consider any mechanism to get that cleared off? Does the county have that authority and ability to get that cleared out of that beach? Any
Mr. Chairman,
thoughts?
if I may, we have a judicial remedy. We do not have an administrative remedy.
Okay.
Historically, down at Alligator Point, what the board has done, and I was looking, yeah, there he is, Mr. Pierce. I didn't see you behind the computer, but there have been programs where the state has, or maybe even FEMA, I believe, has provided funding for the purchase of some of these derelict properties and perhaps even funds for the cleanup. But absent some federal or state funding, our remedy would be to go to court under the theory of a public nuisance, which I've got a lawsuit pending right now, and a hurricane damaged house going towards Carabel on Highway 98. But in terms of, I mean, that's almost a classic code enforcement type of question that you're raising, that the board is presently debating. But your current remedy is either a judicial remedy in court or obtaining some state or federal funding to purchase the property. And then when the county owns it, of course, then we don't need any help from the court. You can send in your own work crew and clean it up, or hire a contractor to clean it up. But Alan dealt with that more hands-on than I did, so maybe he can weigh in and flesh out what I just said.
Yeah, I mean, the attorney's correct that we've done this, I don't know, 2 or 3 or 4 times on Alligator Point over the years where they were single acquisitions. My Blue Heaven being one of the houses I remember the name of that we bought and then tore down. The dilemma you have now, though, Commissioner, is that, and I don't want to speak disparagingly of someone who I don't know anything about, but those houses, the owners may have very well gotten insurance money, and in that insurance money, if the house was destroyed, they probably got insurance money to demolish the house and carry it away,
Yes,
and they
typical.
just kept the money and abandoned the property.
Yes,
So I have somewhat less sympathy for the situation because the owners have caused this problem.
yes, sir.
But it's a nuisance, and I understand that. But yeah, the attorney's correct. We've yet to go on private property and clean it up and put a lien on it. That's that's another mechanism we just haven't done. And I'll defer to the attorney of all the many steps they have to go through that. We have acquired property and cleaned it up. In fact, in 2 of the cases, we acquired the property and told the owner, we're gonna tear the house down, we'll give you the house. And in one of the cases, they took the house away. But in this case, it's just debris. I presume the owner is still paying taxes on it. I presume that they haven't been abandoned, because if they're abandoned, then we could buy the tax or get the tax deeds, but that's a whole nother scenario.
Can we pivot on an action item specifically for those 2 addresses? Can we write the owners a letter of inquiry at this point to say, we're concerned about this, and let's begin that little bit of traction regarding that? Would that be appropriate?
That's up to the board, yes, sir.
May I make a motion for that? And I'm being vague because I don't know the specific addresses, but I can say it's west of 1025 Gulf Shore Boulevard, in that area, right there.
Okay. So we have a motion.
Great.
All right.
So I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Bolt, second by Commissioner Parrish. We're gonna write these 2 property owners and try to do something to resolve this issue with these derelict properties.
And I have just one early comment.
Okay, hold on just a second, Michael.
I was gonna ask, sir, since this was not an agenda item, that you ask for public comment,
Okay.
please.
All right, we can do that. So at this time, before we go into any discussion, is there any public comment in the room about this item, since it was not on our agenda? Can you check online, sir?
Anyone online would like to comment on this, please use the raise hand feature. None, no.
Okay,
And I apologize for bringing up, but we just went out and looked at it yesterday, so I didn't have time to
Oh, yeah,
add it
and
on
I've
the
been aware of
report.
it for a while.
you have something,
Good.
Commissioner Lockley?
Yeah, this piece of property, is it underwater or
yeah.
it got land?
Oh, it probably has land, and it's eroded. Hurricane Michael is probably the primary eroder over there. But I don't know the specific houses, but I know certainly know the situation. And those houses used to have beaches in front of them. The beaches have washed away, and then the houses are ultimately threatened, and in this case, they've collapsed. These houses probably were not houses on pilings. They're probably houses on grade, that when the sand dune shifted, then this concrete slab house just fell apart.
These 2 houses were ironically on piling.
Oh, they were?
Yes, they
Well,
were,
so
yeah.
They probably weren't very deep, because it's probably pre-1985, and again,
That's right, they
Things
probably
shift,
weren't.
and
Yeah,
they fall
augured
down.
in rather than other ways, yeah.
So, one more quick. Don't we have what you call them coming up, trying to get put land back there?
not in this location. We have a beach and erosion project that is specifically designed to protect the county road that is 5 miles away, 3 miles away.
So it's not in that area.
But not in this area, no, sir.
Commissioner, do you have a comment?
Yes, sir. I wanted to pivot on this subject for a moment, and this is just something to think about. We're talking about code compliance and all those issues, and as I see folks coming through here and filing for permits to build homes on the shoreline, there's a part of me that feels that as part of that permit, with ordinances permitting, that the permittee should commit to the fact that someday, when that home washes away, that permittee is financially responsible for removing the debris of that home within a reasonable period of time. And that responsibility is transferable by mandate to the new owners of that home successively. Truly, this is not something that's going to happen in our lifetime, but it's just, we have so many examples of just my home washed away and people walk away and just leave it for a conversation like we're having now. So it's just a thought as we look toward enhancing our codes.
Okay, any other discussion on the motion on the table
Yes, sir. Thank
before we
you.
get ready to vote?
Yes, sir, just a request, if I
Okay.
may. Mr. Davis, would you get me the 911 addresses of the two properties and some photographs of the condition of the property so I can include that in the letter to the property owners, please, sir?
I will.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And I'll go with you if you need me to.
Okay.
I'll go with you if you need me to.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so we ready to vote, commissioners? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you.
No
Appreciate that.
problem. Anything else for us?
That's it. That's it.
All right, thank you, sir, we appreciate you.
Okay. Thank you all.
And Mr. Chairman, just to follow up for the record on that, I
Hold
will,
on just a second, Fonda.
nothing else for Mr. Davis, but I want the board to know that I will have the building official also, once I receive the information from Mr. Davis, have the building official go down and do an official report to determine whether or not the properties should or should not be condemned.
Right.
Basically, it's a question of whether they have been destroyed by more or less than 50% by the storm, so.
Okay.
Just want the board to know that.
The property that you and I have been discussing on St. George Island, do we need to have a similar kind of action for you to be able to proceed with that, or what do we need to do?
Yes, sir, I think so. In fact, I was just looking at that address online this morning before the board meeting, and we may need to chat about the address because it's not showing up on the PA's website as a valid address. But yes, certainly, we could do that right now or later under my report, whatever the chairman
Well,
desires.
I could be wrong, but I think it's 981 East Gulf Beach Drive
Yes, sir, that's what I looked at.
is the address I have for it. It's a house that's pretty much been left since Hurricane Michael. I don't know if they got insurance money for it. I have no idea. I just know it's fallen down. So at this time, I would like to entertain a motion to do the similar process here with the board for that property too on St. George Island that's just derelict and needs to be removed.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion, but I guess we'll have to call public comment on this one
Yes,
as
we
well.
will. We will. So
I'll
we have a
make the
motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. So the motion to approve is by Commissioner Ward, the second is by Commissioner Bolt. Before we have discussion, is anyone in the audience that would like to comment publicly on this item before we vote on it? We are calling for public comment. This was not on our agenda. Okay.
Anyone online would like to, anyone attending by Zoom would like to comment on this? No one indicated that they would. Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I'm like Commissioner Bode. You know, we just got to tighten up our bill on some of these issues, because we continue to let the people just walk away. They get the money, they walk away, they leave. They doing the same thing with the houses. They do it with the dock. And then it just sit there, and it look bad. It's a danger. It is bad. And they had a good time when they built it, have a good time tearing it down.
Yes, sir.
I mean, they need to, they know they ain't gonna do no more, they ain't got no more use for it. But they want to stick every penny they got in their pocket to keep, and don't do what, Just like you put them pallets in the ground and make them fill them up. If they not gonna rebuild or nothing. That's our job to do it. And then, I don't feel sorry for them, cause they done got paid. And they know they supposed to do it, within they sensible person know what he supposed to do. But if they can get away with it, they gonna get away with it. I would too, and a whole lot more. But then the county looking all, gonna look like a garbage pile if the right storm come through. So you just got to get on.
Commissioner Lockley, what really doesn't make sense is some of the things you mentioned, but what really doesn't make sense is I can almost assure you that any property is gonna be worth more as a property without somebody having to buy it and come in and clean it up before they can use it. I would think it'd be easier to sell and easier to use, but that's just my take on it. Any more discussion before we vote on this action? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. And I'll double check that address, Attorney Shoreline.
Yes, sir.
That was some good work this
All
morning.
right?
Okay.
Mr. Davis, before you leave, I did want to mention to the rest of the board, because you're a school board member as well, that our young men have won the district championship and they're hosting the regional semifinal this Thursday night at 7 o'clock.
That's correct.
So if they don't want to be in a loud place, they might want to be there because it's going to be loud and it's going to be packed full of people. So if you want to come early. I
Please
just want to
come.
mention that since you're a school board member, sir, while you were here.
Yes, please come.
Yep.
All the support we can get would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Yes, sir. Thank
We
you.
going to Lakeland.
Going to Lakeland?
Yes, sir. They gonna win.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. All right, up next, Ms. Pam Burnell, Emergency Management Director.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm sorry Pam couldn't be here this morning. We do not have any action items, but I'm here if y'all need me.
Okay. Anyone have any questions or concerns this morning for EOC? Is there anything we need to discuss?
Yes,
Why?
there is.
Okay. All right, go ahead, please.
All right, Commissioners, if we go to page 7, or if you use following online, very bottom, item C, new EOC, at your January 5th meeting, while discussing the new EOC design, Ms. Brunel, your director, submitted some changes to the design for consideration. Mr. Doug Schuler, the project architect, reviewed her requested changes and incorporated those changes into the plan, keeping the original 4,884 square feet footprint previously approved by the board. With that information, I authorized Mr. Doug Schuler to proceed with the formal design. The board will be updated as the project progresses. So we are finally moving along with this project, and we took Pam's, they wanted it to flow a little better for their sake. He incorporated those changes, and so we are good to go. We're moving forward. I just want to let the board know that.
Sounds good?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Did the price stay the same, or he went up with change?
No, no, I'm thinking the price stayed the same, since the square footage change stayed the same. Because he did this in the preliminary stages to make sure you guys were good with it. He's good with it. If you're good with it, well, I know you're, because we're moving forward.
Okay, so, but no action needed by the board
No,
today?
just for
Okay.
information purposes, that's all.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, just
Yes.
one thing, complimenting what you just said. Coincidentally, there is some mitigation going on to mitigate the so-called flood zone in that area.
Yes.
As we design this project, we may lower the floor level of that EOC relative to the mitigation of flooding. Will that affect any of this conversation and how we're designing it right now, and then we come up and have to change it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think it will, and I think they all are aware of that,
Okay.
and they're considering that. As a matter of fact, Mr. Chairman, I failed to say this earlier in the meeting, so you do have one time sensitive issue this morning, which is at 10 o'clock, which is
Yes.
exactly what Commissioner Bolt is talking about.
Yep.
The explanation of the new flood map, where we are, and how we're moving forward. I already see Dewberry's already on there. I expect a representative from Donaldson to be on there within a few minutes. So just to let you know, we do have a 10 o'clock matter we have to
Okay.
address, no
Sounds
matter where
good.
we are in the agenda.
All right. All right, is that all you had, Mr. Morone, relative to EOC and
For
their stuff?
EOC, and Jen and I think we discussed this, Jennifer and I discussed this yesterday. She's good, and I'm good, you're good, we're all good.
Okay. All right. Anyone have any questions or concerns for EOC staff? Jennifer, thank you, and tell Ms. Pam we said thank you as well for everything you're doing, and thank you for helping out this coming Saturday for the benefit for Sheila Chambers at East Point with the signage. We do appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Mhm. All right, up next, Mr. Eric Lovestrain, Extension Office Director.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I don't have any action items for you today. I just did want to highlight that we are underway with our 2022 4-H public speaking competition right now. All of the schools have their materials, and they will be conducting their classroom competitions and their school level competitions. And then the Extension Office will host the countywide competition in March this year. So that's a big project for us each year. And we actually have a new sponsor for that project around the state. For years, Tropicana has actually been the corporate sponsor for the public speaking program. And we appreciate all of the years and funding that they put into the program, and the tens of thousands of kids that went through that program with their funding support. But they made a corporate decision last year to pull back from that. And we have had another corporate sponsor graciously step up and pick that project up. And going forward, our sponsor for the public speaking program will be Florida Power and Light. So it's going to be hard for people to get Tropicana out of their heads when they think about this program, but it's going to continue, and we look forward to great things from the kids that participate in that and the skills that they get.
Yeah, that sounds great. I know that had the pleasure a couple of years ago to be able to serve as one of the judges for that, and I thought it was very interesting and a very good program for our children to be involved in. So thank you for that.
Yeah, basically every kid in the county goes through that program. All of the schools participate.
That's right. Well, anyone have any questions or concerns for Mr. Eric? Mr. Eric, thank you for everything y'all do, and thank you for the update about the public speaking program.
All right, you guys have a good day.
Yes, sir. TDC Administrator, Mr. John Solomon.
Good morning, Commissioners. TDC Director John Solomon. I only have one action item on the agenda today. On Wednesday, February 9th, the TDC Board approved to recommend awarding the second museum project grant to the Camp Gordon Johnson Museum for the replacement of the columns on the front of the Rainey House Museum project. They have requested $25,000 for the project. This is a reimbursable grant, and the project must be completed before reimbursement can be made if approved. The grant had been approved as acceptable by Ms. Erin Griffith before the TDC board voted on recommending it to the Commission.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to approve this grant application by
Second.
Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion, Commissioners? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's a 5-0 vote.
Thank you, Commissioner. That's the only action items I have today.
John, before are you reading from the agenda or from your own notes?
My notes.
Because
Read from the agenda, I thought.
well, the agenda has. Let me bring it up. Second to the Camp Gordon Johnson Museum.
I thought the same thing.
What you scan and send? Oh, I'm sorry.
There's
What
a-
you send by email?
Oh, it is worded funny.
Said Camp Gordon Johnson.
I knew what it was,
Museum
that's why I didn't catch it.
For the
Well, I didn't
second
think
museum
so.
project.
No.
I do too. Yeah, I messed it up. Yep.
So that should be Rainey, right?
Rainey House, yes.
So I'll make
Yes.
sure that the clerk records that
Yep.
that should be Rainey. Okay, cool.
Yes.
It's the
It
Rainy
has
House.
nothing to do with Camp Gordon
Yeah,
Johnson.
Camp Gordon Johnson shouldn't
Camp
be in
Gordon
that-
Johnson got the first grant.
Yeah, it shouldn't be in that narrative at all. Everything there should be Rainy. That's
Okay.
good catch, Aaron. Good catch. That's why she gets paid the big bucks.
Uh-huh.
She wishes.
Anyone have any questions or concerns for Mr. Solomon while he's still here? John, thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you for the good work.
Y'all have a wonderful day.
You too.
Mr. Chairman, I'll recommend this, if you guys want to take a break before we start with, I see Dewberry and Baker Donaldson there before we start. Ted usually stays for most of the meeting anyway, so I don't think you mind waiting, if, up to the board.
Is that okay to you, Mr. Ted?
I'm fine.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's
Sorry about
take-
that.
Let's take a break and we'll start again at 10 o'clock.
All roads lead to Apalachicola's Franklin Square for the 19th Annual Regional Celebration of African American History, February 18th through the 20th. Brought to you in part by the Franklin County TDC. It all begins with the kickoff event Friday at 6 p.m. 3 days of history, culture, art, food, and fun along with live entertainment. For info, including vendor and sponsor forms, visit hcola.org or call 850-323-0544. It's the 19th Annual African American History Festival. We'll see you there.
Favorite beverage and have a scream of a good time at Appalachia's Living Dead, a downtown ghost tour on February 18th and 19th. You'll be entertained by eerie and funny ghost stories from our area's past. On this tour, and you'll also hear new ghost stories, including the one about the sunken World War II British tanker, the Empire Micah, and also local legends about buried treasure and more. Tickets are $10 and $5 for kids 12 and under. Be there if you dare.
Today we're going to discuss congestive heart failure and cardiovascular disease. We also manage heart disease. After you see your cardiologist and are diagnosed with heart failure, either previously known as systolic heart failure or diastolic heart failure, or heart failure with reduced ejection fraction or heart failure with preserved ejection fraction, we can optimize you from a volume perspective or dial in your weights, make sure you're breathing comfortably, and address some of your symptoms. We work closely with specialists and hopefully prevent you from having to make long trips to see your specialists unless it's absolutely warranted.
Hi, I'm Kara Landis. I'm a professional realtor in love with St. George Island. When my husband and I and our dogs moved here in 2002, it was the beginning of an adventure that has never grown old in a community that is amazing. If you're thinking about moving to St. George Island or investing in our world-class real estate, then this community will be as important to you as the sand and surf.
Well, Kara to me is much more than an agent. She's become a friend, and since we bought the house, we've needed work done, and she knows everybody there is that can help us with that.
One of the key elements for the historical growth and value of St. George Island real estate is the fact that it's a great place to vacation and to live. The beauty of the Gulf of Mexico with its white sand beaches and blue sky has always been a magnet for me. It was love at first sight. As your realtor, I can help educate you on the various aspects of buying and owning coastal properties. From taxes to coastal setback lines to where to find the best oysters, it's all part of being your realtor.
Too often our friends tell us of it being a hardship to buy a house, and the agent was gone as soon as the closing. We've had quite the opposite experience with Kara.
If you're looking to buy or sell real estate on St. George Island, I'd love to work with you. Please call or text me at 850-653-7753.
Fisherman's Choice Bait and Tackle has all you need for your day of fishing. They have fresh and saltwater bait, an unmatched selection of mirror lures, and a wide selection of Berkeley Gulp, plus fresh and live bait and all the rigs and tackle you need for a great day of fishing, including brands like Penn and Shimano. They are also the only bait and tackle shop in Franklin County where you can get a fishing license. And don't miss their wide selection of marine supplies, coolers, and more. Fisherman's Choice is located at 330 Highway 98 in East Point. Our beautiful piece of paradise, please make sure you visit our local shops, restaurants, galleries, and take some time to experience something different and take a fishing trip or tour with one of our experienced guides. Our neighbors and their businesses are the heartbeat of our community. Thank you for visiting, and remember to shop local, eat local, and fish local. This message is brought to you by the Apalachicola Bay Chamber of Commerce.
Discuss preventative medicine. If you come to Weems and establish a primary care physician, even if you're feeling great, considering your family history and other risk factors, it's important to follow up and pursue preventative medicine. Getting some basic labs, thinking about the future. Just want to sit down and talk to somebody who has a little bit of medical knowledge and can kind of point you in the right direction. I think that's the role of your primary care physician, taking some time, discussing your concerns, talking to you about your family history, about what's going on in your life, and intervening and helping you to understand kind of what's going on with your current medical conditions.
Franklin County Board of County Commissioners now back in session. Please proceed.
You have representatives from Donaldson Baker and Dewberry on Zoom, and I'm just gonna, unless Attorney Schuler wants to say anything, I'm just gonna turn it over to them. Good morning. At least I thought that's what I was gonna do.
Good morning.
Oh, good morning. There you go. Hey. Okay, the floor is yours. Good morning.
Good morning. So, Mr. Schuler, I'm not sure how much you've relayed and where you want us to start in terms of our prior discussion.
Well, the board, I believe, received the updated mapping information. They have that. I have not given them any prior update in terms of today's meeting. I was expecting you guys to do that, but maybe just a short synopsis of how you got here, and then the amendments that are being proposed on the map would be in order, because it has been, quite some time since the board addressed this matter originally.
Sure. Okay. So, so we made a case to FEMA that the analysis that was performed in the area around the airport, this is the effective currently on your maps, doesn't really align to topography within the area, fairly outdated. We have the preliminary mapping, which is shown here, all the Zone A, 100-year floodplain shown by that orange, and then 500 years shown in green. We made the argument to FEMA that it fit the parameters for being shown as shaded Zone X due to the small drainage area and the average depths being under a foot. FEMA came back and gave their approval for us to move forward with a revised prelim, but they didn't meet us all the way. They met us kind of halfway, I would say. They said that if the depths were over a foot, they wanted that to be shown as Zone A still as a 100-year floodplain Zone A, which has that insurance requirement, mandatory purchase requirement for flood insurance. So we took that and went back to the drawing board to look at our analysis. Again, this is the prelim results. We went back to our mapping, our modeling to see how we could best interpret things within FEMA's paradigm. It's again, if we would have been much earlier in the process, I think we would have had more flexibility. At this stage, we're kind of later in the workflow, so we have to engage FEMA to get approval for that revised prelim. And fortunately, whenever a hazard or risk has been shown, they tend to want to lean on the side of caution and show some of that risk. And so anyway, we took their guidance and direction and interpreted that into what you see here, where in light green, you have that 500-year floodplain still. In the dark green, we have that what is shown as Zone A on the preliminary maps, 100-year, where we feel it can be removed per FEMA's direction. And then where it's over a foot is shown in orange here. So that's kind of the deeper areas and sort of drainage channels and sort of, I wouldn't call them detention basins, but little pockets in between the runways where it's meant to kind of hold and drain water anyway. And so this dark green is that preliminary Zone A that can be changed to shaded X per FEMA's direction. And then the orange is what would be left for the Zone A and the mandatory purchase requirement. We were able to get rid of a lot of it up here where there was some populated areas, as well as over here on the east side where I believe it was mentioned that there's some future development plans. And then some of the shallower stuff that was over on the west side of the study area. This is where we stand. This is kind of the draft results, and so we're looking to, I guess, the county to determine if this meets their needs for us to move forward for revised prelim issuance, revising those preliminary products, reissuing those with this as the result.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
Hey, this is Michael Schuler again. During the phone conference that you, Mr. Marone, and myself and others had when this revised prelim was issued, one of the discussion points was, when does the board need to make a decision on what you presented to us? I'm not saying that they are or are not ready to make a decision this morning. I'm just curious in terms of timing. I recall the preference was the sooner the better, but I wasn't sure in my mind that there was necessarily a falling off the cliff deadline that had been identified. So can you or someone else on the line address that issue of the timing of when the board needs to respond to what you presented? Because frankly, this is the first time as a group that they've had an opportunity to meet and look, and I don't know where the discussion's going to go, but I would like to get that information out on the table for the board's consideration.
Yeah, so I think when we had our last meeting, I thought that these maps and results were going to be put in front of them. I think the answer is still the same. The sooner the better. I don't have a hard cutoff date. I think we're going to try and be as flexible as possible, and so will Northwest Florida Water Management District. It is their project ultimately. But these projects, the workflow that they go through, it takes a lot of time, and so delays really kind of add up and greatly impact that timeline. So I would say I don't have a date for you off the top of my head, but the sooner the better, so that we can get things back on track. This project had already experienced a couple years delay previously due to new topographic information being collected across the entire district, water management district. And so that's kind of put the project behind to begin with. And so I don't think anybody's eager to add, years, maybe even a handful of months to the process if we can avoid it. But anyway, the sooner the better is the best answer I have for you right now. If you need me to come up with a more definitive date, I can go back and discuss with my colleagues in the Water Management District and get you a more definitive date for that.
Mr. Chairman, follow-up question, please. Hi, and a follow-up question for you. One of the issues that really raised the flag in my mind when I was made aware of the original preliminary was that it would have had, I believe, a materially adverse effect on our runways and our current T-hangars, current hangars, the FBO building. And in this proposed revision, can you describe to the board the impact upon the runways and those various existing structures, and also for future construction as well?
Yeah, let's take a look at it, and I'll zoom in a little bit closer, and we can take a look at a little bit more of the data and see where we stand. So looking at the airport, by and large, a lot of the Zone A is being removed on the runways and sort of in the peripheral areas where you have the structures, the existing structures for the airport. So you're getting rid of a lot of the flood hazard information around there. It's becoming shaded X, which is less stringent than the Zone A. Shaded X doesn't have that mandatory purchase requirement burden. Now we are keeping it in places where there's sort of drainage channels going around the airport. Now we're very aware that you're wanting to extend the runway off to the northwest. It's unfortunate. We looked at this as close as we could, looked at the information. Unfortunately, you have a good amount of depth in the drainage channel that goes around the airport on that northwest side. And so we can look at the terrain. Done something I shouldn't have, I apologize. Take it a minute to catch up with me. But the unfortunate part is that there's existing sort of drainage infrastructure that's going around that west side of the runway. There we go. And so there's going to be flooding going around there. And if you do extend out in that direction, you're going to have to do something with the flows that are kind of being conveyed around that end of the runway.
Hey guys, this is Michael Marone. So, and Ted, you could join me on this one. So when we met with John Collins from AFCON, Ted and I, a couple weeks ago, maybe a little longer, I showed John these maps. And number one, he likes them. He thinks it's a lot better than what we have. And he said to extend the runway, that would not be a problem because he will look at that during this study that is funded for drainage. So he will make sure that that's part of the plan to fix that problem there. And, you know, when we decide to extend the runway, and Ted, you can correct me if I'm wrong there, that was our discussion?
That's basically, yes, sir.
Yes, sir, yeah.
One question to Dewberry. The ditch that's on that northwest end up there, I realize the wetlands will have to be mitigated. Can that be culverted? Can you put a culvert through there for that ditch?
I can't comment on that. I have no idea.
Okay.
That would be that would be our engineer question. That'd be a better question to address to John, Ted. And then we have John contact Dewberry and then they can have a discussion there.
Thank you.
With that. And in addition to John, myself, and Ted, your floodplain administrator, Angela, Mrs. Angela Lolly back, I'll say back there, she's in her office, she's watching. She also likes this proposed map and thinks this is a good starting point for us, and that the county should do some more within the next, I think we have a year, maybe a little bit longer, to maybe even improve on this. But she's good with it. And Angela, I know if you're watching, if I'm wrong, come in here and throw something after me and let me know that I'm wrong. So yeah.
Yeah, and there's always opportunity if you have new study information in the future. Once this goes effective, there's always an opportunity to pursue a LOMAR revision to further revise and refine the information shown on the map. So, and if you're doing major changes to the analysis where existing floodplain is, that's probably something you're going to want to do anyway.
Is that it for your presentation, sir?
That's all I have. If
Okay.
there's any other questions that y'all have, I'm glad to try my best to facilitate.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you. Early on, I was concerned that we were paying money to fix this. But Mr. Marone pointed out, don't forget that we also have residential folks in this area where stormwater management needs to be addressed. And I see that as part of the benefit of this. And point number two, I would also want to be sure that all these runway systems in this airport maintain the highest level of classification that a runway can have. So anything that we can do to preserve that triangular runway, which is very, very unique, I'm in favor of doing. My follow-up further question is, as you were doing your due diligence, did you find any stormwater infrastructures around that can be rescued and utilized to mitigate some of this water problem?
Not nothing new, unfortunately. There was a little bit of focus that we were paying on. There's a road crossing and like a culvert crossing here that and some embankments over here. And we wondered if that was kind of creating some issue, kind of forcing the water towards the runway. Mm-hmm. Now the runway seems like it's already placed on fill and has a little bit of elevation to it anyway. So any kind of extension to that, you're going to have to add more fill to kind of level it out as you go through here. But anyway, we were wondering if these embankments over here, and then the I guess it's like an access road crossing right here, if those might be contributing to some of the flooding coming in this direction. But again, if you're extending it out, you're going to want to do something with the drainage channel that's going through here anyway, which would, really, in doing that, you'd want to do some sort of analysis to consider what's the best approach for kind of altering the conditions here with those drainage channels. So there wasn't really anything new that came to our attention.
Will the product of your final evaluation and recommendations, will it include some parenthetical suggestions on perhaps, generically speaking, how we might consider doing stormwater management relative to what you're finding here? Nothing in detail, but something for idea going forward.
Well, that's being done by our airport engineer, correct, Mr. Morrow?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Commissioner, yeah,
Okay.
that's two different things. There's just, we
Yep.
worked on this map, worked with FEMA to improve the map. Now it's on us to see how we can make the situation better based on what they've given us. So who you'd be talking to with that would be John Collins as he does that drainage study.
And you and John Collins are on the same page with this so far, is that right? Dewberry and John Collins are communicating a little bit, aren't they?
Well,
About this issue,
About this issue?
but not about any future
No.
stormwater plans the county has, no.
Just
Yeah.
while the ideas are hot, I'd sure like to be sure we have all heads together on this as we go forward.
That's your airport engineer?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes, John, yes.
So this has been put, as I understand it, this has been put in front of him, and it sounded like he liked this a lot better than the prelim maps that were
Okay.
originally out there.
I'm in favor of adopting this map, or accepting this change to this map, but I'm also in favor of this board in the next month or two having a real discussion about taking some of our airport funds and us hiring somebody, some firm, or going out to bid for a firm for us to do our own boots on the ground study of our water around the airport and what's there, because as I understand it, the bigger differentiator between this that we can't do nothing about without us doing our own work is the fact that FAA says it's 22 feet above sea level, and this study says it's 8 foot closer to sea level. So I think that's a pretty big differentiator.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
And if the answer is that, then that's fine, but I think we need to get an answer to that.
I agree. If I may, I agree with you. I think we should, if Attorney Schull has no objections, we should adopt this map today, authorize them to move forward with submitting this. And as I think we should meet with John, or have John come to the board, Commissioner, and say, okay, John, we already have some money dedicated to a drainage study. What future money is coming, because we want to do more? We want a more comprehensive, another study that would even make this map look better, Commissioner. Yes, I hear you. But a motion today to accept this map,
If you're asking me, I have no objection.
Okay.
This was prepared by engineers and reviewed by engineers and looked at by our floodplain administrator.
Yeah.
I'm a lawyer. That's way outside my wheelhouse, brother.
Yeah. And
We're just trying to check all the boxes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So, yeah, that would, again, the sooner the better.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would so move that suggestion for us.
Okay. So motion to approve adopting this map change as it stands.
Second.
Second motion.
With comment.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Bolt, second by Commissioner Lockley. Your comment, Commissioner Lockley?
Yeah. Now, we're going, every time I look up, it's a study. Okay, we doing a study. Studies ain't nothing but rip-off. You can see it in this here. Go. They tell you what this got to, this in the study, ain't none of us telling us where we can put some tractors and a pipe at to get that water, excess water out of there. You know, we got to go to another company and do another study. That don't make sense. I mean, we need to, if we got a water problem, where we need to put a pipe at, put some tractors out there, put that pipe in and let the water go. We don't need no study for that if the rain comes. If that's what we got to do, they need to be telling us to do that. It don't take no 20 studies They tell us we need a pipe. They making a check and the water's still there. That don't make sense.
Any other discussion before we vote on this motion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous, 5-0.
And on the other matter, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I will talk Ted and I will talk to John, meet with him soon. I think we meet with John Thursday afternoon, sometime.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And we could let
Yes,
him
sir.
know that the board wants him to come in front and let's talk about future grant money to do I don't know, I'm trying to find another word besides study, Commissioner Lockley, to use.
Well,
But,
No, call it welfare.
okay.
That wouldn't be it.
Future money to do another project,
Yeah.
Commissioners. Ted and I could discuss that with John on Thursday.
yeah, because so let me clarify what I was trying to say. Maybe I didn't say it clear. I'm not talking about studying just for studying's sake. This came to us from FEMA, from North Florida Water Management District. It's gonna circle back around. And if the factual basis is this airport's 22 feet above sea level, we need to provide that factual data, so when it comes up again, that's our starting point.
Yes.
Yes.
Not the other way it's been approached. That's all I'm saying. So that's the only reason I'm saying we need to try to do something to engage somebody to look at it. Because I think the factual basis for where we started at with this is off, but if we're found out to be wrong, then we know for a fact what's correct is what's correct. That's all I'm looking at.
That's
Mr.
It
Chairman.
has nothing to do with moving the water. Definitely, we can move the water. That's not a problem.
That is part of the project coming up, of the drainage project.
Yes.
There's a study going on now
Okay.
under AVCON that will tell us
You
a lot of
just used
this.
the word study, Ted.
Never mind the
You're
study
good.
part.
You're good.
But it's part of the project to tell us what we need to do to get rid of the water.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not just a study. Ted is right. It's not just a study, Commissioner Lockley, to be honest with you. This is a study with a plan to us to do it. And I hear the chairman too. Basically, you're telling us, let's try to be proactive rather than reactive all the time, especially with something like this. I hear you, Commissioners.
And
No,
I
it's
didn't,
time to
I
move
didn't
it
try to
forward.
just get past it. Our gentlemen still on the line, or they?
Yeah, no, they're there. They're Dewberry and
Okay.
Donald.
Sorry about that. I wasn't trying to keep y'all engaged in our conversation that's lingering here.
Oh, no,
Thank you.
no
thank you.
worries. No
Thank
worries
you
at
for
all.
everything. We do appreciate it.
And I guess we should ask
Absolutely.
everyone online, is this what you guys needed today? Does this help? Does this move the project forward?
Yeah, I believe so. I think that's what we needed. So we'll start looking at the next steps to try and get revised products issued.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Thank you all for your time.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say one more thing, if appropriate.
Yes.
Thank you. You know, we just talked about studies, but you know, that almighty evidence-based research proven fact that can be byproducts of these studies can be used and to present our case even stronger when we go to FEMA. You know, sure, we paid for a study and a study and a study, but here are the outcomes of that study, and here are the researchable bibliographical evidence of our study and supporting our position. So I just wanted to give us a little bit of confidence that our studies, we will get value out of those.
No, all I'm saying is study ain't no good if you ain't put a pipe in it.
That's right. Put it on paper.
That's part of the project, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Or that is the project, but they've got to study to know what to do.
So, Mr. Ted, since you're at the podium, we'll just go ahead and move to doing your report, sir.
Okay,
As
thank
the
you.
intern manager.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, commissioners and all. Appreciate being here this morning. There are no action items on my report today, per se. If you have any questions for me, I'll be glad to answer them, or try to, or discussion on any of these projects. The projects that we have are ongoing. We're very busy, and next meeting is, unless Michael corrects me,
Sir?
John will be here to address you and update you on all these projects. Is that still correct?
That's right. He's going to be here anyway on the first meeting in March.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
Ted. Thank you. That's right. So we'll just incorporate that into his presentation. Thank you, Ted.
Okay. We do have the airport licensing inspection coming up. So we have work to do there, and hopefully we'll be able to get it all done. But as you know, one of the projects is the vegetation and the obstruction, and I'm sure that is not going to be completed by that time because the inspection will be before April 30th. I don't have a specific date, as I say, but hopefully we can go on with the hope that this project will get done. And thanks to Fonda and for cleaning up the deer carcasses out there. And as Howard said earlier, they're servicing our equipment. So can I add anything else, or do you have any more
Commissioners, do you have any
questions?
questions or concerns for Mr. Ted while he's here? Thank you, Mr. Ted. We
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
it.
You know, I ain't saying nothing about the drainage, but I mean, it's gonna rain. If we get extra water, it's gonna sit there till the sun dried up, or either you take it to the river or the bay. And you got to have a hole dug from the river to the bay, going to it. That's how you get your excess water out. Then it go offshore somewhere. But if that's a little problem for the resident, you know, we don't need to do all those studies for that. Just do what we got to do and get it out the way. When that study comes, look at them and say, well, we done that. Be ahead of them till after the game. That's how you do it.
Thank you, Commissioner Laughlin. Michael, do we need to do anything for her to be ready, or is she ready to start?
Courtney's good to go. She's up there
Okay,
on the screen.
so we're doing critical shoreline applications under our Plan and Zone Adjustment Board report. Go ahead, Ms. Courtney.
Can you see my screen yet?
Yep,
Yep. No. Okay, here we go. There you go.
now we do.
All right. So first I have up a critical shoreline application for 55 South Bayshore Drive. It's the consideration of a request to construct a single family pier and terminus located at 55 South Bayshore Drive. It was submitted by Garlic Environmental, agent for Brett Jones, who is the applicant, and it will be contingent upon state and federal permits, and the Planning and Zoning Adjustment Board recommended approval.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish,
Second.
second by Commissioner Lockley. Any discussion, Commissioners? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That is a 5-0 vote.
Okay, next I have a commercial site plan application for 118 Oyster City Drive. It's for an 100 by 80 commercial building on a 2.98 acre parcel located at 118 Oyster City Drive, East Point, Florida. It was submitted by Brian Jackson, agent for Bay and 98 LLC. And the Planning and Zoning Board also recommended approval for this. This is the location of it right here. Zoom in.
That's just an addition, Courtney, that's just an addition to the, what's already been started there, correct?
Yes, it's one already there where Mike Cates and all of them are
Yes,
at.
ma'am.
It's just gonna be another building like that for commercial space.
Okay. That's a good deal.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Lockley. Commissioner Ward, you said you had a comment?
No, sir.
Okay. Are there any discussion on this matter, Commissioners, before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That is unanimous.
The only last thing I had was a letter I forgot to put on my report. On Tuesday, January 18th, the Franklin County Board of County Commissioners approved the request for a property at 1432 Camilla Court to construct a 2.7 stairway, 2.7 feet into the 10-foot setback, side setback, and there was a error in the minutes. It's supposed to be lot 28 instead of lot 29.
Okay.
Well, Courtney, I thought Mark said that the error was from the beginning the way it was presented, so he just wanted that kind of corrected and reflected in the minutes. So it's not, the error wasn't in the minutes, it was in the original write-up, so it was the wrong address. So he just wants the board to, we consider that a Scrivener's error, Mr. Schuler, Attorney Schuler?
Well, we would need to have a board action to accept the corrected legal description and ratify the approval of the variance, just to get it into the record.
Okay.
So move.
So basically, all you're changing is the address. You're not changing anything else in the variance that was already approved. Just
Okay.
there was a mistake in the address that was put on the application.
Motion to approve those necessary changes by Commissioner Lockley,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion before we vote, Commissioners? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. Is that it, Ms. Courtney?
Yes, unless you guys have anything for me.
We'll load it on you later. Thank you, though. We appreciate it. You know we're not going anywhere.
No.
Thank you. All right, up next, Ms. Erin Griffith, Fiscal Manager, Grants Coordinator.
Okay, Commissioners, item A, the county equipment auction authorization. The county equipment auction will be held on Saturday, February 19th at 9:00 a.m. at the Franklin County Road Department located at 376 Highway 65 in East Point. There will be a chance for interested parties to preview the items the day before the auction if interested. The auction flyer and the authorized list for disposal is attached to this report with the auctioneer's contact information. This attached list of surplus equipment and vehicles will be the final additions for the auction. Board action to approve the removal from inventory and authorize the sale of the attached list of surplus equipment at the upcoming auction on February 19th.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Ward.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parrish and Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion, Commissioners, before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That is a unanimous vote.
Okay. Item B, the attached resolutions authorize the 3 grant applications being submitted as part of the 2022 road grant cycle with the Florida Department of Transportation. The first resolution pertains to the widening and resurfacing of the southern portion of CR 67 from Highway 98 North to State Forest Road 172. The second resolution pertains to the widening and resurfacing of the remaining 1.795 miles of CR 30A, which was excluded due to cost in the existing grant project. And the third resolution is for the remaining 1.156 miles of Mill Road, which was not paved in 2016. Board action to adopt the attached resolution authorizing the grant applications for the FDOT scrap and SCOP road grant programs.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Ward.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lockley and I believe Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion before we vote? I will say this under discussion. Serving as your chairman and your person that's on the Small County Coalition, there was notice went out yesterday that the legislature is looking at cutting the SCOP and scrap funds that are available to small counties even more than they did last year. I did reach out and talk to someone at Senator Osley's office about it and called also Representative Shoaf's office about it, making sure they were aware about our concerns with, the potential to cut that even more because it only affects small counties. So I just want to make sure you guys were aware of that before we.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, so I would say this. Usually I know we write a letter. I think we get better traction and even quicker reaction if you guys just would call Shoaf and Senator Osley. I really do. The letters sometimes get lost in where letters get lost, and so I really think it's better if a person you guys reach out and call them, let them know. I sent you an email. as to what exactly the chairman is talking about, so you guys have the information as to what they need to hear from you. I think it was yesterday afternoon.
It was.
Yes, so please, yeah. So that's why that's not on my report to ask you guys to authorize the letter.
Yes.
I think, again,
And
it's better if we just call.
I will say both of them said that they were aware of the issue, so they were looking at it, but it definitely won't hurt to call or email them. Just want to make sure you're aware of it.
Thank you, sir.
Any discussion before we vote on this motion, commissioners? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, next item, number C. Franklin County has received the attached highway beautification grant from the Florida Department of Transportation. The East Point Civic Association applied for the grant with full cooperation from Franklin County and will manage the day-to-day needs of the project. Franklin County will be responsible for advertising for bids, accounting, invoicing, and reporting. The $57,500 grant award will landscape areas along Highway 98 at the intersections of SR 30 and SR 65. Board action to authorize the chairman to sign the attached grant agreement for the East Point Highway beautification grant.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to point out that the East Point Civic Association has all the buildings, that's your district. You've also helped, and it does look a lot better. So thank you to them. Thank you to you, Chairman, for getting that taken care of and done. I'm looking forward to seeing this proceed.
Yes. Any other discussion before we vote? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, next item D. As announced by the Secretary of Transportation on June 21st, 2021, the Apalachicola Regional Airport is eligible for funds under the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. The purpose of these funds is to provide economic relief to airports in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. These funds can be used for costs related to operations, personnel, cleaning, sanitation, janitorial services, combating the spread of pathogens at the airport, and debt service payments. Any airport development must be directly related to combating the spread of pathogens at the airport. The FAA is asking each airport to implement a face mask policy at any public use airport which receives the ARPA funds. The attached poster is available on the CDC website. We are not aware of any enforcement requirements or any penalties for those who do not wear face coverings, but recommend that the board direct the FBO to post the attached poster from the CDC to serve as the grant-required mask policy on site. Board action to authorize the attached application for federal assistance, SF 424 form for FAA ARPA funds in the amount of $22,000, and have the attached notice from the CDC posted at the FBO.
All right, motion to approve by Commissioner Lockley.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion, commissioners? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's a unanimous vote.
Next item E, the draft procurement policy was presented at the January 18th meeting. In the past month, several minor revisions to clarify processes have been incorporated into the draft policy. Attached is the final draft procurement policy. The existing $10,000 threshold in the 2012 policy had proven to be overly restrictive, as $10,000 in today's economy does not allow for departments to make repairs and purchases timely. The attached will change the formal bid solicitation threshold from $10,000 to $25,000. Purchases of $25,000 or more will have to be properly advertised and awarded at a public meeting. Tiered purchases from $10,000 to $25,000 will require the informal solicitation of 3 quotes and approval by the county coordinator or fiscal manager. Board action to approve and adopt the attached draft procurement policy.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish. Second by Commissioner Lockley. Any discussion?
We still gonna know about it, so it don't matter.
Yes, you will.
Okay.
Aaron, I do have a question, Aaron, and I hope I'm not reading it wrong. So, about the 3 quotes, you're soliciting 3 quotes, not guaranteed you're going to receive 3 quotes, correct?
That's correct, because we have run into that problem
Yes,
before.
we have, with several projects.
Yes.
Okay, good.
So, if it's a list 3 and don't get 3, you still can move forward?
Yes.
That's correct.
Yes.
You can proceed.
Yes.
Go. Good.
All right. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That is unanimous vote, 5-0.
Okay, next item F. The engineering and construction specifications will be ready by the end of the month for the restoration of Island View Park. Island View Park opened as a new park in August of 2018, and just 2 months later, Hurricane Michael devastated the area and the park was almost completely destroyed. The construction of this park was handled directly by the various state agencies, and upon completion, Franklin County was responsible for the maintenance and operation of the park. The total estimated FEMA project cost for the restoration is $1,325,471, which included an estimated $421,000 in mitigation work to make the park more resilient to damage from future storms. Some of the specified mitigation work will include the replacement of the solid composite decking on the terminal with flow-through decking, the addition of stainless steel pipes inside the hollow composite handrail posts, replacement of the 2-inch mesh balusters with stainless steel balusters, parking lot repairs and resurfacing, the installation of 400 linear feet of 12-foot deep sheet piles along the water side of the sidewalk, and the replacement of 120 linear feet of a block wall with cast-in-place decorations. Board action to authorize advertising for construction bids for the restoration of Island View Park once the specifications are ready.
So moved.
Okay, motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt.
Second with a comment.
Okay, second by Commissioner Lockley. Commissioner Lockley, what's your comment, sir?
Now, we've been dealing with this for a while. And is we gonna have the same problem like we had this morning with FEMA? I meant with the dredging. Is it gonna come back where it's gonna be higher?
I certainly hope not.
Commissioner Lockley
Yeah.
did not wish that
Yeah.
evil on me, do not wish that evil on me.
I mean, you know, everything going up behind the pandemic and the.
Yeah, construction costs have
Construction,
definitely
you know,
risen.
they can't get this, they can't get that, so I wouldn't be surprised if we don't fall in that category.
Let's hope not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dredging is. Thank God Alan isn't here. That's another 15-minute speech, so yeah.
Keep your fingers crossed.
Yes, sir, I'd pray.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you for that one. Appreciate it.
Next item G, the engineering and construction specifications will also be ready by the end of the month for the Carabel Beach Wayside Park project. The project includes the restoration and preservation of the 14 picnic pavilions and restroom building. The exact mix of funding, insurance proceeds, historical grant funding, TDC sales tax, beach park facility funding, for kind of up in the air right now, for this project will not be determined until construction bids are received. Board action to authorize advertising for construction bids for the restoration of Carabel Beach Wayside Park.
So move.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any discussion, Commissioners?
I just appreciate that word preservation, to preserve those 14 picnic table pavilions. They are so retro 1950s, and that's very, very special characteristic about that park.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's a 5-0 vote. Anything else, Ms. Griffith?
She's staring. No? You good?
Oh.
Anything else? You kind of blanked out on us there.
Sorry, on to the next.
That's happening to us more often in there than you guys realize.
She's tuning us out, it's all right. She's got more
Yeah, she's
important
either tuning us out or she's saying, oh no, there needs to be more. I didn't have it ready. You're good. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate it. Any more questions or concerns from Ms. Griffith before we proceed, Commissioners? Aaron, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Aaron.
I can tell you, as a commissioner, our job has gotten inherently easier with you in the position you're in.
Amen.
Thank you for that.
You bet.
Mr. Morone, you're up next.
So is mine.
Yeah.
So is mine. She's really, yeah. All right, bottom of page 6. Try to get you guys out of here sooner, real soon today. Knock on wood. Your code enforcement update. During a workshop February 1st, the board heard a summary report presentation on code enforcement from ARPC. This report was based on a series of workshops held throughout the county, hosted by ARPC, with the intention of allowing public input on improving code enforcement in the county. That same week, Mr. Patterson, Mr. Steve Patterson, your building official, and I reviewed the report's list of the public's priority concerns and discovered that a majority of those items apply to your building department or your zoning office. Another issue to address is an improved process for complaints received by phone. What has been in place for years is a link on the county's website that allows the public to send complaints, concerns, and suggestions to the administrative office. It's come to my email. Those emails are then forwarded to the appropriate department for review, along with a reply updating the sender. However, the process for phone call complaints is not as organized. Mr. Patterson and I are working on a plan that will centralize the complaint, concern, suggestion process that includes a change to the way that the building department and zoning office interacts, and we believe this plan will address a majority of the concerns on the report's priority list. We will schedule meetings with each of you in the upcoming days to discuss this plan. Is there anything specific right now off the top of your head you want to make sure included in that plan, or we can discuss it when we meet with you one-on-one? I just want to make you aware that we're getting there. So, commissioners, basically, after we discuss this, at some point in the future, we'll have to see what on that list doesn't apply to your building department or your zoning office, and at that point, we can discuss then. But we feel a majority of the stuff could be discussed now, which will not have the immediate need for a code enforcement officer or some board or magistrate to review it. That's how we feel, but we could discuss that one-on-one as we meet with you to discuss our plan.
I mean, can I say something?
Mm-hmm.
This statement here, it don't fit. I mean, you know, what is a code enforcement got to do with a complaint coming to y'all? What he gonna do about it?
What is who?
A code enforcement. What he gonna do? They talking about they got a complaint coming to your building.
Mm-hmm.
What a code enforcement gonna do about it?
Okay, I'm not sure, but let me say this. So when we reviewed the list that we got that people thought were the priority items that they thought should be under code enforcement, we discovered that most of those complaints that we received or that they had on that list, either building department issue, like somebody building without a permit, building somewhere, or a zoning issue. Somebody is doing something they shouldn't do in R1 or something like that.
But that's still what they saying. I mean, like if y'all get a telephone call and y'all address it sooner or later, it might not happen the same day, might happen later. But that code enforcement ain't gonna make it happen no faster.
Yes, so okay, so that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if you guys give us the opportunity to present our plan and let you know that most of the items are within the building department and zoning, we're not quite sure there's much to go beyond that.
Right.
And so at that time we discussed a code enforcement officer or magistrate, but until then, let us focus on what the building department and the zoning office can do to help address some of these issues, and then we'll move on. So I don't want you to think that we're coming to you to talk about a code enforcement officer now. Actually, quite the opposite.
No, I ain't saying you did that.
We want to address, but Commissioner, I heard the public, and I did appreciate when someone calls in reference to it could be anyone, a building. There was some confusion, and so we're working on straightening out that process so that complaint calls are handled as efficient as email notifications of complaints. So that's the point I'm trying to get across with what I was saying here. And if you fix that and fix your two departments that you already have in place, building department, zoning office, if we fix the ways how we respond to some of those, and we're going to need a lot of help from the county attorney, if we fix that, I'm hoping that addresses a majority of the items that was on that priority list from that report. Everybody follow me, or I'm still?
No, I think it will, because, well, like this week, and it's pretty much every week, but this week I've been talking with some residents concerned about a neighbor that's getting ready to build a house. They're probably having to do it for flood zone reasons, but they're putting fill on the property. Our ordinance says that I'm supposed to retain my water on my property and not put it on somebody else's property, but that's where it stops. How do you enforce that? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think that's something that needs to be looked at.
And not to skip ahead.
Under our present ordinance.
And not to skip ahead, but the last item of my report, and I think I forgot to add the letter. I apologize as an attachment, but the last item of my report about Lanark Village. So it was something where somebody was building something without a permit, and then they were building it in a zone that they shouldn't build it in. So basically, you're violating again, that's the two offices right there. The building department addresses the building without a building permit. The zoning department addresses building in that special Lanark Village special district that we have there. So that's why we have to change the way the two offices interact. It needs to be more cohesive together. I don't know what's the right word.
Streamlined.
Streamlined,
Mr. Chairman.
yes.
That's the word I
But the
like to use.
streamlining, especially Commissioner Ward, goes directly to the way we handle phone calls. We have to streamline that process also. So,
Sure.
Yes.
Mike, as it relates to telephone calls coming in, it would be a lot better if they would email or write the county a letter. 'Cause my concern is, when they call you on the telephone, you're trying to do 400 things at one time, do you remember exactly every word they said, the exact address, the exact complaint? But if it was emailed to you as a complaint, or a letter sent in rather than a phone call, now you got something to hand to somebody that they can visually see and read. Well, this is the complaint that was sent in, whether it be an email or a letter.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? In other words,
Exactly.
you got documentation to document exactly what the person said, exactly what they're complaining about. And then you can pass that from one office to another. If it's an email, you can forward it to the right computer.
Yes.
And if you don't have time today to address that, when you come back tomorrow, you can go back and review it. When it's a phone call, there is nothing to review.
Yes, sir.
And to me, that's where things slide through the crack.
Exactly.
So basically, if you want to send in a complaint or whatever, it should either be emailed or mailed to you in the form of a letter, so that you have this documentation to pass to the appropriate office or whatever, and there's a record of that. On a phone call, you don't have anything other than your memory as to exactly what the complaint was, exactly what the address was. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly, sir. And that
so
is
I would
the problem.
encourage people to email in their statements or mail a letter to you, so that you have this documentation that you can always go back and refer to.
Yes, that's right. And I believe in.
And then you have a way to respond that the problem has been solved, the problem is being currently worked on, without that avenue. And email's the best way, but I understand some people don't have computers. But to me, that's a more appropriate way for you to keep track of everything and forwarding this stuff, whether it be you or someone in your office, to get it to the appropriate office.
It is, and that's been the problem. You're exactly right, sir. That's been the problem in the past. Now, a couple of
that's
things.
Something you need to look at when y'all go over this. I'm just saying.
Yes, sir. So a couple of things. One, and Attorney Schuler, correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's some new state law that complaints can no longer be anonymous.
Correct.
That we have to state. So that's another reason with the phone call situation. You know, you have to say who you are to make the complaint, or basically, I got to read a lot. I don't want to say we're supposed to disregard it, but I got to kind of pay better attention to that. Secondly, so with the phone system we have in there, the new phone system we upgraded last year, or a year before last sometime. What is very good about that system, if you leave a voicemail, that voicemail is sent to my email as a file, as a sound file that I have forever. I could click on that and listen to that message, and it comes with the phone number that you called me from, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how we're trying to work all this together, because there are some people that'll tell you, I don't email and I'm not sending you a letter, but I want to complain about X, Y, Z. You know, it's.
Well, I mean, if they got to identify themselves and all,
Yeah.
that's
So-
kind of out of your purview.
It is, it is.
It's something we have to comply with.
Yes, sir.
So the software you're talking about using it, if somebody leaves an email, leaves a voicemail, what if they don't leave a voicemail?
Then there's nothing we could.
They didn't care.
So you don't know who called in to complain or anything else,
Yeah.
but according to what y'all saying, Florida statute says now you have to do that.
Yes, sir.
So when you're going through your discussions and trying to figure out which way you're going, I was just making that suggestion that you
Yes,
gotta
sir.
have some way of knowing who it is that called, and you need some way of verifying exactly what the complaint was, and so that you can go back and review, as you said, you can do if they leave you a voicemail. So some mechanism there has to be worked out.
In other words, you're wishing me luck, sir, is what you're doing.
Yeah, and trying to give a little guidance
Yeah,
along with it.
thank you so much.
And another thing, you through, Mr. Commissioner Perry?
Yes.
Oh, one other thing. You might need a code enforcement, you might not, whatever y'all come up with. But if you get one, I don't want no code enforcement starting a problem with these other workers. Or sitting out in the office, they getting a complaint about the zoning issue. Let him know. So they get them badges, go to act crazy like Blue did. Let him know he just come in there and tell y'all. He don't come in there demanding. He not y'all boss. But if it's a zoning issue, if it's another issue, you don't go in there and just take over, you know,
I hear you.
y'all off.
I hear you, sir.
Let him put it, let him know he got boundaries, y'all got boundaries. And take your complaint, if you go to, take your complaint if it's dealing with y'all, put it on y'all desk and get on out there. Leave y'all alone. Y'all are handling and call them back in there when y'all resolve.
Your officer will work for you, sir.
Michael, currently when you do receive emails for complaints, what email do they go to?
They come to me right now.
What email though?
Oh, I'm sorry, Michael at franklincountyflorida.com.
So just as, I know we have an email that's info@franklincountyflorida.com.
Yeah.
Maybe we could start a new email and advertise it this way for complaints at franklincountyflorida.com.
Well,
you know what I
yes,
mean? So it's going to.
That is my plan, is
Okay.
to create one central email. Even that email will also receive the voicemails that Commissioner Parrish and I were talking about. I don't like the word complaints. How about concerns at
That's fine.
franklincountyflorida.com?
But it needs to be one email is what I'm
Yes,
saying.
one central email that has a record of everything,
Yes.
which will help us in the future for public records requests,
Yes.
since these calls can no longer be anonymous. You
Right.
see? So,
Right.
yeah. But yes, sir, you're on the same page with me,
Okay.
that's what we're moving. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
may I? Thank you. Michael, I really appreciate the fact you have distilled some of the what matters most concerns that came out of that code enforcement workshop summary. And I also appreciate the fact that how you're seeing how to delegate some of those. I see this as now needs. But then I'm looking forward to the reserving of the conversation about the later requirement. The people of 6 workshops, of which I attended all 6, said, we need a code enforcement officer. And I know that's a conversation for later, but I'm just preserving that in this conversation today.
Oh, well-
You're doing now, and we'll look for this
Yes, sir.
officer later.
Most definitely. I think
appreciate that.
when we have the plan, I think the board probably at some point is going to want to allow the public to kind of have their say about where we are and what we're doing. Yes.
Sure.
Most
Okay.
definitely, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I was gonna reiterate on that, you know, I know we've got a lot of workshops coming up, but that's something that we do, in my opinion, potentially need to begin is figuring out a day for these workshops to transpire, to get it going.
Yes. So I think as soon as we approach all 5 of you, each of you with the plan, and we bring that to the board, and then we start from there as to, you know, where we're heading, what we need to do. I agree 100%. Part of the plan.
Sounds good.
Good? Mr. Chairman, can I move on?
Yep.
Good? Okay.
Please.
Item B, in the middle of page 7. Commissioner Parrish was contacted about the possibility of partnering with the city of Apalachicola in a restriping project of parking spaces and crosswalks on some of the avenues in the downtown area. Riverfront Park, oh, I'm sorry, that's a comma. Downtown area, Riverfront Park, and the public parking lot on Avenue I. Yeah, acting like I didn't write this myself. The city would like to complete this project before the influx of tourists into the county. The city received a $10,000 quote for this project back in August of 2021, and Mr. Travis Wade, the city's manager, is in the process of updating that quote. Commissioner Parrish is willing to reimburse the city for half of the cost of the project up to $7,500, whichever is less,
from District 4's paving funds. I will notify the board as soon as the quote is updated. So I'm asking board action to authorize Commissioner Parrish to reimburse the city of Apalachicola from District 4's paving fund for the striping, restriping of parking spaces and crosswalks in the downtown area, Riverfront Park, and public parking and the public parking lot on Avenue I project for half of the project cost up to $7,500, whichever is less.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Motion to approve by
Have a
Commissioner
comment.
Barkley, second by Commissioner Bolt.
I think when they say Avenue I, Commissioner, that's the big parking lot down there by.
They're talking about down by Water Street Motel?
Yeah.
By the motel.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, sir, I think so.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
the reason they want to move forward with this, and I agree with it, is for the safety of all the pedestrians.
Mhm.
As everybody knows, if you rode through downtown Appalachia at lunchtime or our board meetings, you can't hardly get around. There's people walking everywhere. They walk out in front of you.
Yep.
The whole 9 yards. And somebody, I don't want anybody to get hurt visiting our community. And I think it's a safety issue for me.
Yes.
Is the reason I agreed to partner with the city to try to get this done. Another reason is to get it done now.
Yeah.
They say, well, before the tourists come. Well, if you were in town last weekend,
Too late.
they're already here.
I was gonna
And
say
it will
that, I'm
get
like,
worse.
Sure.
That's a
So if
neat
we can
point.
get this done before March and April, when May and June, you know, when it really gets bad, it's a safety issue, whether they're crossing 98 or crossing some of the adjoining avenues. And I just felt like it was a safety issue and needs to be done, so I agreed to partner with them. It's not a bunch of money. I do have a little money in my road paving fund, and this is a use that some of those funds can be used for, so I agreed to partner with them for it. So just let the board know exactly what's going on.
Yeah. I'm glad to see that you're doing it, Commissioner Parrish. I think it's a very good
All you
project.
gotta do is tell John Solomon, write you a check and put it back. He the one got it.
And a couple more things, Commissioners. This also includes the handicapped spots and the special markings for the handicapped
Yeah,
spots.
and there's a couple places where they need to put stop on the road because
Yep.
you can't see the stop sign,
Yeah.
the way the old town is laid out. So it's all about safety.
So-
It's all about safety.
So to be clear, and since, to make it on the record, we are reimbursing the city of
Yes.
Apalachicola. This is their project, so this will not fall on our bid policy or anything like that. That's their project, their selection, how they do it. We'll just reimburse the city of Apalachicola. So I want to make sure that was on the record.
Quick question, as part of this project, are they also gonna put some signs up saying, please use crosswalks?
Good point.
That would be,
That would be nice,
that
wouldn't it?
would help with the safety issue, for
Sure.
sure.
So,
Just,
no
I'm not
stepping-
saying it needs to be in the motion, but.
No stepping off the curb in front of the grill, is what you're trying to
Yeah.
say, sir, okay.
Yeah, that's scary.
You know, I agree, Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, but that is like another,
Yes, it is. It is.
like a beautification. It is a safety related issue, but I don't want to push it too far or my hat's gonna go way up. So we said we can't get a grant.
We've already made a
somewhere.
motion in a second here, so
Done
you're
this,
good.
Now we need a little help doing that, you know, and we'll work on it.
I like that, sir.
I am glad to see the combined effort.
All the crosswalks are faded out right now.
Yeah.
Except the ones going across 98. They're still good from when they just did the road paving project, but everything off of 98 is really faded out. I think it'll be a good project once it's completed.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I hear you. And it's good. I mean, people don't see, because a lot of stuff Travis and I are doing in the background, but yes, we're working well with the city.
Matter of fact, the signage, Mr. Chairman, one more time, the signage and all that would be a good project for Main Street,
Would be.
There you go.
which
Look
is
at
a
that.
city organization that is supposed to be looking at things like that.
Look at that. Okay.
All right, any more discussion before we vote?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
in summary, I just wanted to applaud this opportunity. Here is a good example of the modern way that we look at bonding and partnering with the city and the county in a minor project. But I think entities working together like this is very, very hopeful for future funding for types of grants that we can bond together with them in the future.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes unanimously.
Way to go.
The commissioners already addressed item C. Oh, the Army renovation. Oh, it's hiding there. D. Very bottom of page 7. At your last meeting, Chairman Jones asked for an update on the Fort Coombs Armory sprinkler installation project, mostly relating to possible use of the prom, senior prom. Well, Mr. Mark Carrington stated, and I'm quoting from his email to me, the advertisement for bids on the Fort Coombs Armory was published in the Apalachicola Times on Thursday, February 10th. There will be a mandatory meeting for prospective bidders on Tuesday, March 1st. The bids will be open at your March 15th meeting. The architects anticipate that construction will take 5 months. This should put completion of the project around the beginning of September, depending on when the actual contract is signed with the builder, end quotes. I've been in contact with school district representatives, including the superintendent, the state fire marshal's office. That was we kind of wrapped that up yesterday, and I'm going to try my best to connect with the architect to coordinate the use of the armory for the senior prom, and I will keep the board updated. Hopefully, if your next meeting, this will be something that's already done and taken care of. Okay. And item E, I already addressed about that violation. I used that in reference that we spoke of earlier. I will email that letter to you guys. I apologize for not including it in the packet. A couple of more information items I have to add to the end. So it looks like we will get our new permit program for the building department, which will be a very comprehensive program. We meet Florida statutes about what information we're supposed to put online. That we should have that next Friday. We should start an update next Friday of the current information we have. So I guess what I'm telling the board, more than likely, the building department will be closed next Friday, the 25th, because we cannot conduct business. There'll be a transfer download and upload of information. And then the following week, you know, things might get a little rough because we're all learning this new program the following week. So you might get some complaints that the building department was a little slow in issuing permit and processing, but they'll be learning as customers come in. They're going to try their best to make appointments with customers so they can, you know, not have them standing all in a bunch frustrated and tell them, okay, if you come at 1, we could deal with you, you know, 11, whatever. But that process is starting, so I just want to give you guys a heads up. And in addition, I want to let you know, and I didn't have a chance to scan and send this to you either, the sheriff sent a thank you letter for an errand for us doing the pay plan. He said, thank you so much for the pay plan, the raises to his employees. He said, again, he asked, and it was a struggle, and it took a while, but we got there, and he's thanking the board for their effort on that deal. So I want to make sure you guys were aware of that. And that's it for me, Commissioners.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mike, can you post something on the door that says that the building department's gonna be closed that Friday? And
I
put it
will.
on our website?
Yes, sir.
And not the day before we do this?
No.
I mean,
I'll probably do it today. I just want to talk to you guys first.
yeah, so it gives these contractors an idea of that it will be closed and why to be closed, so that we don't get calls. So we don't get the calls saying, I can't get a permit, my men can't work, you know, giving them a week's notice or whatever it is. To kind
I
of
will.
make sure everybody's aware
And
of what we're
speaking
doing
of that,
and why we're doing it.
sir, I'll also tell Steve, as he's out there inspecting, let them know.
Yeah.
You know, so yes.
Okay.
That would be good. That'd be real good. And Michael, I know we talked about updating or putting something on our website relative to different projects in the county.
Basically a project update page.
I know we're not that made it to that yet, but maybe we could do it in the form of a spreadsheet, be easier to update.
Yes.
Instead of being a running narrative. You know.
I got the spreadsheet queen right here, so
Okay,
yeah.
cool. But, you know, because, I mean, it's going to change when something gets checked or something else gets done.
Yeah.
If it's a running narrative, you're having to change all that stuff every time.
Yeah. Every time.
For every project, you know what I mean? So, anyway. Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
To that point, and we talk about physical signage, do you think a standard uniform sign that can be placed at the project saying, you know, something to the effect of, this project is in progress, for more information, and then our website. And it just stays there till the project is completed, and that sign is put to somewhere else, and we have them dotted around the county that way. Would that be appropriate, a reusable sign?
I think it'd be a waste of resources, but, I mean, that's just me. I'm one of 5. Because, I mean, you know, what are we going to do when we complete that project? We have 10 projects going on, we make 10 signs.
Yeah,
You get down
we
to
would.
2 projects, then what are you going to do with the signs that are left over? So,
Oh, well, they'll stand by for a future project.
Mr. Chairman, and Commissioner Bolt, it's a good idea, but I can say that you can put a sign out there all day, just like you can post things on Facebook and try to keep your residents informed of what's going on. They're not gonna read it. They're not
Okay.
gonna pay any attention to it. I had somebody comment on something that I posted, and I said, we talked about this.
Yep.
So the sign's only good as the people that are going by read it and
Mhm.
interpret what it says. So I agree with you, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be productive. And then that puts a burden on our Parks and Rec Department to make sure that the signs are moved or placed. And then, I don't know, that's just my opinion.
Okay,
So
understood.
it follows along the line, Commissioner, I hear you, and I understand what you're saying, but it follows along the line. So we have our meetings where the public can come in. It's on Zoom. Mr. Ralston is broadcasting on his Facebook page, but you still have people that complain, oh, I don't know what you guys are doing, or you're not doing this, you're doing that. I'm like, did you even watch the meeting? And they're like, no. Really? So
Okay.
it's almost like, what's the point sometimes, you know? And I'm sorry, I'm not, last time I got accused of scolding the public, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying, you know, we could offer as much as we want, but do you really want to know? If you really want to know, you'll find out, I guess is what I'm trying to say, but.
I appreciate the discussion.
That's just me,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I do agree that their website can be updated though, so that people can see, like Island View Park.
Yep.
They can see the progress being made on certain things and projects that are within the county. That's why a few meetings back I asked that the Dewberry engineer come and give us an update, because that's what people want. They want to know what's going on, especially with projects. So I do think that's a great idea, and I'm looking forward to seeing that on the website.
Yes,
Sure.
and like Ted reminded me today, John Collins is going to be here at your next meeting, so he's going to give you an update on all your airport projects. You know, so again, that's something, sir. We'll have that on the website too, on a separate page, spreadsheet page. So we'll do airports as a separate project.
Anyone have any concerns for Mr. Morone before
Not
we
making
move on?
fun of you, Mr. Chairman. not at all.
I've got something, but I'll get with you after the meeting about it. Just a quick question.
All right. So up next is Attorney Michael Schuler, County Attorney.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, I only have one action item on my report. The Attorney General on February the 4th sent me another sign-on request for yet another settlement agreement on the opioid litigation that the Attorney General has negotiated. The company in this case is named Endo, capital E-N-D-O. He sent us a sign-on agreement, which I sent to you late yesterday afternoon. It allows us to participate in a $55 million payout after, and that's the net amount, after the payment of state and subdivision fees and costs. And what that means is the state was the lead litigator, and there were certain counties and cities that were actually actively litigating. Franklin County was not part of that litigation. The share that the state says that we would receive is 0.0499 and about 8 other numbers.
Yeah.
We'll let our fiscal manager calculate that. That's way beyond my math. But in any event, they have asked the county as soon as possible, actually said our earliest convenience, to execute what they refer to as a subdivision settlement participation form. And much like the grants and other documents that we receive from the state, essentially if we want to accept the money and participate, and then we sign their agreement, we don't really question the contents or how they've set it up. Since the board has already entered into one sign-on agreement with a prior opioid litigation, I would presume that these funds would be folded over into the structure of the original settlement, but I frankly haven't confirmed that at this point. But what I'm asking for this morning is authorization for the board to allow the chairman to execute the participation form and to approve the settlement agreement that the state has negotiated. I did read through it some this morning, and they have what they call their initial sign-on period, which is 30 days from the execution of the agreement, which was executed on January the 15th. So that would give us, today would be the 30th day for February the 15th, I believe. You don't necessarily have to sign on today. There was for whatever reason, another provision that said that you had the option of signing on after that initial sign-on period, but I don't see any reason not to go ahead. We've already signed on to one of the settlement agreements, so it seems appropriate to sign on to this second one that they sent on February the 4th. So if the board wants more information, then I will certainly do a more detailed analysis and discuss it at the next meeting if that's what the board would prefer. But I would recommend let's execute it and get on board.
Okay.
So
So
moved.
move with a discussion.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Lockley. Was that a second, Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Second by Commissioner Ward. Commissioner Lockley, your comment, sir?
Yeah, two things. Oh, I guess I got to ask Mr. Aaron, what, them numbers he called out, did you see this?
I did not include Ms. Griffith on the email that was sent out.
I just referred to her because she was a number person.
She is.
I know you're good at it, but I wanted to, I guess my question is, I'm trying to figure out what kind of money they talking about.
Oh, 27,000. I did the math the other night.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that rich?
Okay. Nah, that's good. Cause I ain't know what that meant.
I know, it's a big number, a multiplier for that thing.
Okay, now, other thing.
I haven't run the number, Commissioner, so I don't know.
Another thing, I can't calculate. My brain old, I can't calculate. But another thing is this, so what come with this? Like, what kind of?
I don't think there's any strings with it.
What kind of strings do we got to be spent a certain way?
Oh, I'm certain there's a very long, thick, and heavy string attached to these funds.
Is
That would be my guess.
Is this for something like a rehab program?
If it's for opioid settlements, I would assume it would be stuff like what the sheriff's department's already spending money on as Narcan, stuff that's helping to try to fight opioid use.
That's why I was asking.
And that was I'm sorry, Commissioner.
I just want to know. I know they ain't gonna just say, well, here's your money.
No.
Well, the original thinking for the first settlement was to see if, in fact, the sheriff could access any of that pot of money. The way I understand that first pot, the answer, I think, is most likely not, because I think it's all being centralized and channeled through a regional program that I think the closest base is in Tallahassee. But who knows with the second pot of money, if there's an avenue where the sheriff can be helped, then that's something that can certainly be examined and looked at and decided by this board. But I would say at this point, the string and the conditions are not fully known, but there is a pot of money that's allocated to Franklin County that can potentially help the people of Franklin County.
Yeah.
So that's the recommendation, or the reason for the recommendation for participation.
No, I wasn't trying to act on the part of that sheriff and that rehab thing. I just was trying to, I know something coming with it.
Okay, any more discussion?
They'll send us this, and they don't never send things together.
You're right about that.
They should. This stuff needs to be together. If I'm gonna receive some money, this is like, what is I'm gonna receive this money? Before you go spend that money, oh no, you couldn't spend it on that. But tell me something I can spend it on. You send me money, let me know what I can do with it.
All day, every day, that's the thing, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Any more discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Mr. Brown, would you, because I copied you on the email, would you download the participation form for the chairman's signature, please?
I sure will.
All right, thank you, sir. That's the only action item I have on my report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Anyone have any questions or concerns for Attorney Schuler? All right, Commissioners' comments?
Mr. Chairman, I have one. I just want to thank Franklin County again. We had a really great outpouring of support at the car show that benefited the Cooper family. We raised over $4,000. It was a car show that was put together in 2 weeks' time. So we had a lot of car show friends that showed up and showed out for our car club, and I appreciate that. And now they do have a home. So all the money that was raised between the sheriff's office and the local charities with restaurants and the lunch that restaurants put on in the yard sale, they do have a home now. So that the money that was raised at the car show, she's still in need of a car. So hopefully they'll take some of that money and purchase her a vehicle to travel around in. So thanks again to Franklin County and everybody outside of Franklin County that came and helped out. I appreciate it.
That's great.
It's been tremendous.
Sir?
They said at the last meeting that she had a car?
She did not. She does not. So hopefully this money, she might be able to go purchase her a vehicle. So thank you.
Any other commissioner comments?
Y'all know, you're doing good work. I like that.
That's
I
great.
like the way
You bet. Absolutely.
you're looking out for your dude.
Yep.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
All right. Any other commissioner comments?
I have, I have some just show and tell for you today relative to Alligator Point. This is a bulletin board that's on the east side of the multi-use pathway that has extended from the washed out road east to Gulf Shore Boulevard. I just wanted you to see that. That's all the notices relative to that pathway only. I just thought that was interesting. And then another picture will show you the eastern terminus of that pathway.
The other one?
That's not it, but I'll come back to that one in a minute. That's it. There's the pathway. You're standing with your back to the east, looking west. And what was remarkable to me is, notice the pathway is there, and that's crushed limestone that ultimately will be compacted, and then they'll put asphalt finishing over that. That's a general summary. But look to the left of the pathway. That's the Alligator Point Drive. And then you see that margin in between the pathway and the drive? That's safety. It gives you a perspective to show you how we've approved the pathway. There it is. Then there's a margin of safety, and then there's the Alligator Drive. Just wanted you to see that. And then the last picture I wanted you to see is the finished seawall sheeting for the washed out road. What you're looking at there is corrugated sheeting that's down, it's stainless, it's steel, and it goes down 15 feet under the ground, and then it comes up to that terminus, which I think is about 4 or 5 feet. And that's 1,252 linear feet of sheet piling for that road. And now they'll begin to backfill all that and build the road landward of what you're seeing there. And those pictures were taken last Saturday morning. So.
Commissioner Booth, let me ask you quick. On that, I guess you said runway bike path.
Yeah.
They need to put that down kind of strong, because the people gonna use that for when that main road wash out. That's gonna be your transportation.
You think that's going to be the road that they'll use instead of the bikes?
Let's hope it doesn't come.
No, let's hope not. Yeah.
They gonna use it.
I hear you.
Well, I'll give you the bad news. In this section, there is no bike path.
It not.
Not enough room.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Yeah.
there is a path, but it's on the shoulder.
It's on the shoulder, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
It's,
That's kind of what it merges on.
they'll be all over the place.
Yeah.
Cars will be in the road, bike paths will be in the road, people will be in the road.
Be parking
Park will be in
there.
the road.
Well, if they do, I would've used, I'd jump right on it. The AJ got me on it.
Yeah, I mean, the concept, I didn't hear all the Commissioner Bolt's presentation. Basically, you have this elevated wall, you'll have a concrete cap on the south side, asphalt, and a concrete cap on the north side, so there shouldn't be any opportunity for the wave action to get in and peel the asphalt back, because the wave is gonna break. I promise you, in a hurricane, the waves will break over the seawall. They'll be breaking on the seawall, because there's not enough beach, and that's the whole point of the beach, commissioners, is to move that ocean back, so when the waves break, they break on the beach, not on the seawall.
Yes.
Without a beach, this road will not, I mean, it's designed for what it is designed for, and hurricanes are still gonna get at it if we don't put a beach out there.
You're talking about south of the sheet pile, sir?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
the sheet piles are on the edge of the road.
Right. Okay. Thank you for sharing that, Commissioner. Any other commissioner comments? All right, meeting adjourned.